Hey there everyone, Mr. Lewis here, ready to walk through sections 8 and 9 of Unit 2, Population and Migration in AP Human Geography today. So the main takeaway for today is going to be that there is this very clear connection and pattern between the development of a country, which is what you looked at a little bit in the DTM stages activity, the demographic transition model. There is this clear connection between development and women in that country. So as a country develops, typically they promote and implement greater levels of gender equality, which ends up meaning for women the world. It's greater access to education, greater access to employment opportunities, greater opportunity for financial independence, greater access to healthcare and better overall healthcare. So this creates all kinds of changes in the population, as we will see today. So let's take a look. All right, so today's lecture started with a slide of these two guys on it, one of whom is a robot, one of whom is the creator of the robot. And I'm going to circle back around to this at the end of the notes. So I'll show you why we were talking about robots. So first, women and the population. How have changing female roles shaped populations around the world? And there is this distinct connection between development and fertility rates. As countries have greater levels of development, we tend to see lower fertility rates. This is due to lots of things. It could be expanded education, more job opportunities that are leading to women having less children overall, improved healthcare systems and access to things like contraception. So regardless of what it might be, this connection is pretty clear. You can see here in the United States, over on the left, that the fertility rate is 2.06 versus the literacy rate as a representation of education at 99% versus the infant mortality rate per 1,000 live births is 6.06. So the UK, 1.91, 99%, 4.62. Japan, 1.21, 99%, 4.62. These numbers are very favorable in terms of the literacy rate and the infant mortality rate compared to some countries like Afghanistan, which is 12.6 literacy, 149 infant mortality, or Niger, which is 15.1 literacy and 122 infant mortality. And as you can see, the fertility rates in those countries are higher. So the development, which is represented in this map by health and education, these two social factors, the development of these countries, Japan, the UK, and the United States, is higher, and they have lower fertility rates. In Afghanistan and Niger, the development is lower, and they have higher fertility rates. So this isn't to say that higher or low fertility rates is better. That should really come down to each individual family and each individual woman and how many children they want to have. But the point of this slide is to show this connection between education, healthcare, and low or high fertility rates. So, what ends up happening? Well, in low developed countries, LDCs, we tend to see less gender equality overall. That's not to say that every LDC has horrible gender equality, but on average, typically there is less gender equality, which leads to less opportunity in school, less opportunity in work, and less access to family planning tools. This leads to overall higher fertility rates, and because of that, more population growth. In HDCs, it's the complete opposite. Overall, we see greater gender equality. That doesn't mean every highly developed country has perfect gender equality. We have gaps here in the United States as well. What it does mean is that overall, in these HDCs, you tend to see more educational and economic opportunity for women, as well as better access to family planning tools. These things lead to lower fertility rates overall and less population growth. So that leads into section 2.9. If we have a country that is experiencing low birth rate, low death rate, and a higher life expectancy, that means we have a more developed country typically, right? These are stage 4, stage 5 types of countries that we're talking about. Whereas if you have a really high birth rate and a really high death rate and low life expectancy, typically that's a stage 1 country. But what starts to happen as you get to be a highly developed country and you have that low birth rate and low death rate and long life expectancy is the country could experience what we call an inverted population pyramid, like you see with Japan. If the top of the population pyramid is too heavy and the bottom of the population pyramid is too skinny, as you know, with any object that's too heavy on top and too skinny at the bottom, it is going to collapse. Well, what does that mean for a country? It means the economy could collapse. There aren't enough people coming up in the country, aging in the country, to fill all of these gaps, all of these economic gaps that are being left by people who are getting into their 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and aren't willing or able to work anymore. So this might topple over. Socially, if you don't have enough people working, there's not enough money going into taxation, and then the government might not have enough money to spread around to meet all the needs of its population. Also, they might have to put more of that money toward elderly needs, leaving the youth wondering why their needs aren't being met. So there's a lot of ramifications that can come out of this. Japan has tried pro-natalist measures. They've attempted pro-immigration measures, and neither of them have worked as well as they would have wanted. And so they've been left to try and fill these economic and social gaps with automation. In some cases, humanoids, robots that actually appear as humans, but in a lot of other cases, simply using robotics and automation to meet those economic needs to continue to allow their economy to grow. So, you can take a look at this video. It's about 10 minutes long. It's an interesting view, but I'm not going to show it right now. That's all the information I have for you today on sections 2.8 and 2.9. Okay, everyone, that's it for sections 2.8 and 2.9. I hope you see some of those patterns and connections that I was talking about at the beginning. And remember that we will review all of this as well. We've got a test coming up on Wednesday, October 14th, the Wednesday before fall break, once again. So we're going to have lots of time to review and get you a practice test and a study guide and play some Kahoots and all of that good stuff to make sure you are ready to crush this Unit 2 test when it does come around. So reach out with any questions or concerns. Otherwise, have a terrific weekend. See ya.